Hey everybody, it is May 26, 2008. I'm Sonic Sons, and it's the longest gap ever, I think. Well, not ever, since the Goyam Unfiltered video. That was quite a gap between them. Anyway, it's a really long gap since I made a video. It's been like 3 weeks. I'm very sorry. This video I'm doing here was actually recorded previously, and it was corrupted somehow. I don't even know. Hopefully this new recording will work out. Anyway, you may be aware that I've got random creative projects going on in my head. Among them is a fantasy story about a character called Eudo the Wanderer. I did a video about him previously, a video reading a story that is. It was called Earthen Refuge. And this is by the same character at a different time in his life. And I suppose I'll just read it, and hopefully someone will like it. Because I've gotten practically no comments the last 3 weeks, because I made no new videos. It just went to a crawl. I'm sorry. Anyway, the name of the story is Baya Tree, the tale of Eudo the Wanderer. My eyes were tightly shielded from the darkness of the wild, but still I stood as witness to the chaos of the storm and the groaning of the trees and the passion of familiar emptiness. I was alone, and yet surrounded, and in this there was nothing unusual. The thunder was my father, and the marsh was my mother, and the croaking of the moy inside the echoes of the wilderness was all the words of power in the seat of omnipresence. And I wondered, who am I, that my thoughts are so distorted? And of course I did not answer, and perhaps I did not know. The forest swamp of Nangoon was a place for fools to travel. I should have known better than to breach its winding borders and give my life unto its whims. But I didn't really think about it, and I didn't really care. 10 days I've been wandering this place, looking for nothing. Sometimes I found it, and sometimes I didn't. Either way, I was always on the move, much as my tired legs could bear me. It was 2 years now since the graying. 2 years since being cast away, when I was cursed and branded a derelict. 2 years, I thought. They expected me to die within 2 months. I peeked at the world before me and quickly closed my eyes again. Maybe that would have been better. I gripped my cloak as tightly as I could bear. The crashing rainfall still washed across my skin. The wind was howling now, whipping through the trees and sharpening the rain. The moy increased their croaking as they scurried to find their burrows. The waterline was rising around me, and I began to shiver. Reluctantly, I rose to find shelter. It was still too stormy to open my eyes, so I was forced to grope blindly with one hand while using the other to clutch my cloak. I stumbled, caught my balance, and then slipped on saturated moss. I collapsed to the ground and clenched my teeth against the pain. I had cut my arm against a rough stump. I rose again and ventured onward, this time with more caution. Finally, I found a patch of dry ground and a tree trunk to offer some mild protection from the wind. I sat there, and I panted, and I returned again to my thoughts. Rain. Everywhere there was rain. I felt it, heard it, tasted it. Rain for me had been, over the years, frightening, wondrous, annoying, and now simply there, simply another part of the world. Vaguely I wondered if the rain felt the same way about itself, if it fell like a stream of listless souls, uncaring of their destinations, or rather caring quite forcefully about not caring at all. Or perhaps the rain felt purpose, felt energy and life. Perhaps it scolded me for feigning ignorance to the majesty of it all, the waters that carried life back to the world, and the world which gave meaning to the sky. I preferred the former theory, for listless rain would more easily be my kin. My eyes were still closed, and I thought about that. Closed eyes. It had meant so much to me in the past. Back when I was guarded by the Federation. Back when I lived in Morentov. 2 years ago, it had ended. And in 2 years' time, I still wasn't sure how I felt about it. Morentov. Closing my eyes. It had meant so much to me back then. When my masters allowed me rest, when they released me for a moment, then I could have relative peace, like a patch of dry ground in the middle of a thunderstorm. When I closed my eyes, I could pretend to be elsewhere. I could walk along the eastern shore and smell the salt of the ocean. I could brave the icy wastes of Malboria, or swim in the Torrentado River. I could journey and explore to my heart's content. I could be free. I could be elsewhere. Anywhere but Morentov. Anything to escape their halls of stone. Anything to find a momentary splash of feeling. I used to dream then. In sleep I could escape my exalted prison. In sleep I could live in the world I had known before, a world of sound and sight and majesty. I went more than 20 years without ever beholding the sky. That was Morentov. That was the Federation. But now my eyes were closed again. Not to dream of the outside world, but to guard myself against it. To think, perchance, of the Federation, of the safety and the certainty, and the twisted dungeons of the mind. For 20 years I had longed for freedom, but what had I gained from it? Now I was lost and torn within, and hopelessness had become a haven, a place to escape my shame and wrath and torment. Maybe I should have stayed with them, maybe I should have obeyed, if only, but no! 'Twas my masters who deigned to punish me with a tyranny that stretched so far as to follow me to the very wilds of the earth. Or perhaps I was just a feckless rebel, and the masters had been the wise ones all along. I clawed at the wound in my arm, ashamed of myself, and then ashamed of my shame in turn. There was lightning now, vicious and silent like a choir of delirious banshees. Sporadically it came, striking with neither thought nor purpose. Painfully it erupted from the mighty clouds unfolding, sending terrible groans of thunder through the world. A writhing, withering, wretched, wrongful thing. Again and again it crashed upon the forest. Over and over did it scream to me, taunting me with shapeless words. "Leave me," I shouted. "Leave me in peace." But the world refused to heed me. And eventually I stopped shouting, for I knew that the sky would never listen. I was a fool to pretend otherwise.